The type tool in Illustrator has some awesome tools associated with it. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at one of these, and that is the Type on a Path tool. Stick around to find out how it works and some useful tips on how to use it. What's up designers, welcome back to Digifrog Designs. If you're new here, I'm Matt Roberts, brand identity designer and illustrator. Wednesday seems to roll around so quickly these days. Well, it's Friday when I'm filming this, but you guys are going to be catching it on Wednesday. We're on the run up to Christmas and it's time to start winding things down. So I thought we'd take it easy in today's tutorial and I'd show you something fun that you can use to create some awesome designs with over the Christmas break. So today we're going to be taking a look at a few ways that you can use the Type on a Path tool to create some awesome designs. Before we get started, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. We post new videos every Wednesday helping you become a better designer. Right, I'm going to be showing you how I use the Type on a Path tool. Now, it may not be the best way and it's certainly not the only way. So for everybody that's going to comment saying, you should have done it this way or this would have been a better way of doing it. I know there's 1,000,001 different ways to do the same thing. This is just the way that I like to use it. So let's jump over to the computer and get started. Here we've got a couple of different examples of where Type on a Path really comes in handy. So if you were looking to create a badge design where you need the text to follow an outline of a shape around the design, or if you were looking for the text to follow or mirror an existing shape to follow along, like in this second example here. So how do we go about using Type on a Path to create some designs like these? Well, I'm glad you asked, my friend. Let's fire up Illustrator, let's hang out and let's learn something new together. So the first way we're going to look at is how to use it to wrap around a design like this. So as you can see here, if I hover over, you see there's a tombstone shaped path that the type is following around. The type's fully editable and we can write whatever we want around there. So I'm just going to delete this and then we can take it from the beginning. The first thing that we're going to need to do is create the path that we're going to type along. So I'm going to create a little tombstone shape out of a square and a circle. Get that on that line there, and then I'm just going to use the pathfinder to unite them. Once I've got my tombstone, I'm just going to switch it on to stroke so we can just see the outline, and then I'm just going to start by positioning this where I want it. So I want it somewhere along there, I want it somewhere there. I'm just going to pull it down. Probably still a little bit too much headroom there, so I'm just going to pull it down a little bit further, and then I'm just going to take this bottom line up where I want my type to start. So now we've got a path that we want to add our type to. How do we actually find the Type on a Path tool? It's pretty easy. So we come over to the type tool, we right click, and then third one down is Type on a Path. You'll notice this little wavy line showing on the cursor. What allows us to do is to select the path that we want to add our type to, and then it brings up our text where we can actually type on whatever we want. So I'm just going to add my text there. So you notice it's all over to one side. So what we're going to need to do is, if we select our direct selection tool, you'll notice these lines pop up here. We've got one for our center point, and then one for the start and one for the end. So your start point, if you can move that all the way around the path, you can use that to dictate where you want the type to actually start. So I want it to start on this corner here. And then I'm going to do the same with the endpoint, drag that all the way around, and I want that to hit the endpoint there. And you have this center point here that you can use to shift the center point of the text. You can also use this one to change which side of the line that you want the text to follow, which I'll show you how that comes in handy in a moment. So let me just put that back in the center. So now that's how we add the text to that style of path. But say we want to add the text in a circle around the monogram and allow it to follow on either side. So I'm just going to delete both of these texts again. I'm just going to grab a circle, and I'm going to just add a circle around the design here. Switch that back over to stroke, and then I'm just going to use my align tools to align it to center. And we can shift these around once we've done. Until you expand it, all the type on the path remains fully editable, and so does the path. So let's do the same thing again, but let's add Digifrog at the top, and then designs around the bottom, and I'll show you a handy little thing again. So again, we're going to select type on a path, and I'm just going to select here, and I'm just going to type Digifrog, and again we're going to use our direct selection tools to change the start and end point. If you've got smart guides turned on, this is really helpful for this, and then we can position them. So now we've got a text around the top. How do we go about adding the text at the bottom that mirrors this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this layer, so Command C, and then I'm going to paste in front, and then I'm going to drag my path to follow the outside edge of the top text. And you'll notice how it has changed the font size. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my eyedropper tool and select that one just to make them the same again. And I'm going to switch back over to the direct selection tool. And remember this center point here, we can actually use this one to change which side of the line the text follows along. So if I pull it the inside, we now have the text that follows the inside. Because that's following the outside edge there, it flows around nicely. Let me just change this so you can see what happened if it was the inside. If it was on the inside and we had the same text, though they look out of line. So if we have the lines following on the outside, it allows the text to follow around the same loop, almost as if there was two circles. A handy tip that you can do for doing this is if you, going back to the start, so let's grab a circle again. If we draw our circle out from the center, you can actually plan out your path to start off with. So I'm going to, again, align this to the center and say that's where I want my inside to be. And then I want my text to follow around that line. So now you'll see we've got two paths that we can use, and we can use that to set our font size as well. So this is how wide we want our band to be that follows around for the type. And again, I'm going to select the type on a path tool, and then I'm just going to hit that first one, and then I'm just going to position that to where I want it. So see how we've got a little bit of room there. So if we bump up the font size again till it touches that edge. So if we do the same thing again with this bottom one, again type on a path, this bottom one, and again we notice it's on the outside, but that's fine. We switch over to the direct selection tool, grab the center point, and then we can pull that into the center there. And you'll see we've got both lines of text following around the outside, and they're both fitting with inside that guide that we set off originally. So that's how to use it to wrap around a patch design or something like that. Let's move over to using it to create a banner or a flag on a patch as well. So I'm just going to duplicate this so I can, I don't have to redraw all of the shapes again. I'm just delete this text from here. So I'm going to ungroup it all. So I've got this flag or this banner sitting underneath the monogram here. And what I want to do is to have the text following along the shape of this here. And you could manually draw out the path like this, but it can be a little awkward trying to finesse it into actually making it follow accurately along the line. Depending on what you're doing, it not following perfect may be what you need, but if you're looking to actually mimic the shape perfectly, there's another way we can do it. So if I just delete that path there, and the way I'd do it is if I select the path, I'm going to come up to Object, Path, and then I'm just going to offset path. And then what I'm going to do is reduce this down to a minus number. So I'm just going to offset the path to where I think the text should be sitting here. And I think somewhere around there should do us, maybe a little bit more. I'm going to hit OK to confirm that. And now we've got this shape here. So I'm going to, again, just select it, and I'm just going to delete everything that we don't want. So now we've got our path that we want to add our type to. I'm just going to switch back over to the type on a path tool. I'm going to select there, and then because of where it's positioned at the minute, I'm just going to switch back over to my direct selection tool so I can come back and change the position and get that all correct to start off with. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type out the word, and then I'm going to select it all, and then I'm just going to use my eyedropper to take the text from here. And you can see how it nicely now follows the shape of the flag. It's not quite in the middle, but because it's the same shape, what we can actually do is, once we've highlighted it, we can just nudge that into the middle of the banner there. And it now nicely sits in the middle. You don't only have to use shapes to do this, you can also use the pen tool to draw out the shape, as I mentioned briefly before. So we can use the pen tool just to draw out any shape that we want. And I'm just going to switch it around to the stroke so we can see it, and then I'm going to switch back to the type and the path tool. I'm just going to type out. Thanks for watching, designers, because this video's come to an end. So there's a quick look at how to use the type and the path tool to create some awesome patch designs. If you've got any questions, post them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, designers. If you like this video, smash that subscribe button, give it a like, and also don't forget to ring that notification bell so you get notified every time we post a new video. Share this video with your friends on social. It really helps me reach more people, educating them on building better brands and showing them what actually goes into designing them. And shop the merch to support the channel and show you part of the DFD crew. I'll catch you next week, designers.